Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Got a couple of requests to do a M1A build guide, if you will. Kind of how you min-max and do everything with this gun. It's not as complicated as some of the other guns, but it does have a couple of little tricks and challenges when you're trying to put one of these together. So I bought all the parts and we'll go through this thing one piece at a time. So getting rolling here, I kind of went through and bought everything that was necessary to really talk about this. I didn't buy every attachment because, to be honest with you, most of them, when it comes to grips and barrel attachments, it's not necessary to show you. We'll just show you the kind of the best ways to maximize certain aspects of what you're going after. So the first thing we'll talk about here is the basic firearm itself, just the M1A, no parts on it. Pretty simple. Prices right now are kind of screwy because we're getting close to the wipe, but you can buy it from Mechanic for $31,000. And this is actually a level 3 trade, I believe. We'll go look here. Yes, level 3 for Mechanic gets you the M1A. So, your 4 stocks you've got are the SOCOM, the Archangel, the Motto, and the SASS. So I'll kind of go through these stocks in order of what my opinion is worst to best. And you can't even really say the SOCOM's worst because it's still pretty good. You can still get it pretty geared up. Also directly attachable to the gun are these two different mounts for attaching sights at the back end of the rifle, which can both go on the Archangel or the SOCOM. And the main difference between these two is the ARMS 18 and the UTG4 is what scopes you can put on there. The ARMS 18, you can put, red dots, hammer scopes, the PSOs, things like that. But you can't attach larger scopes that have mounts. That is only for the UTG4. And it's basically because of how much difference they are in length. This one's a little bit longer, just has more room to attach those scope mounts. Unlike some other things, there's no barrel restrictions. You can attach either the 16 or 22. For argument's sake, I'll be doing most of this with a 22-inch barrel. So let's put this together real quick to kind of show you how some of this goes. Barrel or stock on the firearm itself, and we'll move this out of the way, and we'll put the 22-inch barrel on. Now, when you're buying M1As, I don't see it a whole lot anymore, but you got to be very careful. This firearm is ready to go right here. So when you're looking in the flea market, it will actually show up like this. And if you don't look real careful, there might not be a top to this handguard, and it'll sell. And it's going to cost you anywhere from 5 to 10,000 more rubles to put this together. And that's just because some people suck and they like to scam, take it apart and sell it like that and try to sell it for full price. Now, if we look at the SOCOM stock and we'll look at these different attachments that can go on top of it, you have all 4 of these, which I'll show you. And there's a pretty dramatic price difference in some of these. So as you get leveled up and you can buy these for different levels from the different dealers, they've got kind of different purposes at the end of the day. So like this guy here has this big long stock on the back. It allows you to put the bigger sights on it, where the other ones don't. These ones only allow you to put the more front sights, red dots, holographics, things like that on there. And then this one here isn't sold by any vendors, so it costs a lot of money. Your cheapest one you're going to get is 52,000 out of here for that one single mount. So all of these will go on here, as you can see. No big deal. The big difference between them, again, is the scopes you can put on there. So as you can see, this one here, this CAS 14, is the only one that you can put the bigger scopes on. However, when it comes to red dots and hollows, you can put that on all of them. And how that's important is how they sit. So let's take the Mini Scout, for example. Actually, let's just take the standard SOCOM 16. So this is just that standard front barrel that has an attachment. You can put a red dot or a holographic on the front of it. Now, I don't like how this looks, but when you get into early wipe or you're on a budget, that's about all you can work with. So if you want to go to a farther range sight, you can stick with this and buy the UTG4, which, as you can see, bolts right on top. And now you can put yourself a scope on there. And coincidentally enough, if you want, you can also stick a canted sight. No comments on how well that works, just showing you what's possible. We'll stick that up here for now as well. So let's kind of take this thing back apart. So your other option, now this kind of setup is going to work with these groups of forward handguards. So if you want to put, for example, a laser on, you can do that as well up top with this setup of handguards. And that works with all of these different ones except the CAS 14. Now the CAS 14 is a fill-in for this mount and this foregrip. So you take the CAS 14 and put it on there, and now you can direct mount, and you have yourself a pretty well set up front grip for this thing. One thing as well is this CAS 14. It's the only one of these at the base level that allows you to attach stuff on the side. So you buy these 4-inch or 2-inch side mounts, and as you can see, we'll take this off here to get a little closer look at it. You get your 4-inch and your 2-inch, which allows you to put lasers on and various other attachments on the side of the gun versus right on top. But again, personal preference on how you want to approach that. Everything for the SOCOM stock that we just talked about applies to the Archangel stock as well. So all of these different grips, the uppers to the foregrip, all fit on there. These both fit on there. So all the same rules apply. So the only real difference there is your price for what you're buying and your stats on your different stocks. So your SOCOM versus your Archangel is actually pretty substantial. You have a 41 and 18 versus a 45 and 29. You also can't attach anything directly to this stock on the bottom. The Archangel allows you to put a laser on the bottom. And that is oddly all that you're allowed to put on the bottom of this thing is light and laser devices. It won't let you put anything else on there, even though it looks like you can put a grip. I imagine someday they're going to put bipods in for more than just the DVL. So that's kind of where you see that at. Okay, so now on to the Mod Zero stock. I'm going to put these over here so they're out of the way. This guy is a little bit different. As you can see, none of these go on here anymore. So these are out. We won't use these anymore. Get them out of the way. However, you're also not able to put the UTG-4 on here. It doesn't fit. But you're able to put the little guy on, which means with this setup, how it is, you can't put any bigger scopes on there. It's just little guys. Not bad, just knowledge, right? So to kind of get around this, let's put the barrel on, get a little bit better look. This Mod Zero stock itself has a couple of its own unique attachments. This is the only stock you can put on it. And if you look, the pistol grip actually attaches to the stock, and you only have one pistol grip you can put on this. It's not a great pistol grip, but it is what it is. Now, to get yourself a bigger scope on this thing, you actually have to use this M14D CSB. And what this does is it puts a big rail right along the top of this, as you can see right here. And then you can come in and put your big scopes on. Looks kind of goofy to me, but that's how it works. As well as anything else, you can put red dots on front or back. Either way, it all works. This thing also has the bottom and side grips to it for the attachment of laser devices and such. But just like the Archangel, no foregrip. So you can't put a hand grip up here anywhere. It's just for laser devices. You can stack 4 on there if you wanted to. And that right there is the SOCOM front attachment. So let's get the actual firearm and the barrel off of here, and we'll move these out of the way. All right, so this guy's the Troy SASS. Now this thing is a beast. It's also pretty expensive, but it's my favorite way of running the M1A. So We'll put this guy on. We'll put the barrel on. Now this gets you kind of more into like M4 territory where you have stock or you have buffer tubes and hand grips and everything like that. So when you look at this guy and you link search it, your gear mods for stocks and pistol grips is very similar to the M4. You have a ton of choices to pick through and different ideas. So I'm not going to go through every one of these. I'm going to go through kind of some of the best min-max setups, if you will. So if you're going for your recoil and not ergo, the best way to go at it is with this HK1E and obviously your advanced tube if you want to go for more stats, but your red advanced tube. So we'll put this on there like that. And then you've got your MOE, Magpul MOE R15 handguard. This is the best that you can put on this firearm. And unfortunately, you can't put the high-end ergo. I'll grab it to show you. This handguard won't go on here, unfortunately, as you can see. So that's your best bet right there. That gets you your highest ergo bonus to the SAS foregrip. Now, this is the one you can actually attach foregrips to. That's one of the big differences you have going on here. So you can go with your max recoil reduction with the RK2 if you're after recoil, or you can go with your highest ergo, which is your shift. Now, if you're not going for recoil with this and you're going for ergo, which is what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take this off. The best way to do it is actually with this PRSC Gen 3, because it gets you 16 ergo, which is the highest you can get out of any of these setups that I've been able to find. I could be wrong. If you disagree, say something in the comments below. By all means, let us all know. One other thing you can also do that you can't do on any of the other M1A builds is you can put the Magpul front and rear sights on here, the iron sights, which gives you 2 ergo total. Just a little bit extra. All of it helps. I'm going to stick the hammer on here just as kind of how one of the ways I run it. I almost always run a thermal on this with a canted sight up front. So actually, let's go grab that real quick. And this is kind of one of the quests you have to do later with proper as well. This is kind of my preferred way of running this thing. It's really effective on several maps, especially if you know how to use your thermals correctly. The main difference between the PRS Gen 3 gray and black and tan is you get a little bit of dip change in ergonomics and recoil. So you can see 16 and 14, 34 and 36. There's your big, there is actually a difference between them. So moving on down the line, I'll go over the 16-inch barrel attachments here real quick. The 16 doesn't have a whole lot of choices to it. You can do some of the threaded adapters to put on suppressors and whatnot, but this muzzle brake is essentially the first thing you have to put on, and you can't, in order to put something else on, you have to come up with the SOCOM 16 thread attachment here, and then from this you can attach your muzzle adapters for suppressors, the Gemtech and the Silencer Co. direct threads for that 16-inch barrel. Otherwise, you can go with the DGN, the Lantec Dragon, or the Atlas for recoil control. Those will both attach to here like that. Down to the 22-inch barrel, you end up with a few more choices, a lot more choices, but again, this is kind of one of those deals where it's either what you have available to you or what you're willing to spend. Your largest recoil and unsuppressed you can go is by using these the Lantec blast mitigation device and the compensator on there. So it's 3 pieces, and it looks weird and it's really loud, but what it ends up giving you at the end of the day is you get your -12 recoil and your -4 recoil. So you're at -16% recoil. It's actually a pretty big reduction. So you're getting all of that recoil at the cost of 3 ergonomics. So you get your -1 here and your -2 here. A little bit of an effect on muzzle velocity, but not much. So if you don't want to go that route, or you're a little bit more simple-minded, this red brake here is your next best bet. It gives you -12 and gives you 1 muzzle velocity. I'm a big fan of stuff that adds muzzle velocity to the different guns because that actually, in a simple term, it reduces your bullet drop. The faster the bullet travels, the less it drops. So when you're visually shooting, your actual bullet drop at farther distances is less. Makes shots a little bit easier to hit. Now, if you're going suppressed, like almost every other gun, the best way to go is with the Daniel Defense Wave. That gives you a combined effect of 7 and 7, so negative 14. So you're just 2 underneath this setup, but now you're suppressed. And it's actually pretty quiet. It sounds really good. So all assembled, this is kind of this is the M1 that I prefer to run. You can tweak it a little bit in a couple of different ways. Like I forgot to put a laser on here, so we'll throw that on real quick. So running it like this, you're running 75 ergonomics and 77 recoil, 139. Your muzzle velocity slowed down a little bit, but you have a pretty stable fire system. And when you're sitting with a Reaper, you're usually not moving a lot. You're moving slow and you're peeking and you're spending a lot of time behind your scope. So the higher ergonomics is more valuable to me personally. The recoil on this thing, even at higher levels, if you're not building an anti-recoil bid, isn't too much because I'm not shooting super fast at distance. Usually the gun has time to settle before your follow-up shot. So if you want to change this a little bit and go with a more recoil-based build, we'll pull off our that stock and we'll go with that, and we'll change the foregrip, and this is more recoil orientated. You can see here, you're just saying recoil is almost to nothing. You lose 25 ergonomics, but you cut a bunch of recoil out of your setup. You know, you cut another, I don't know, 30 recoil here and 60 recoil there. You're almost nothing on your recoil right now. This is amazing for recoil, but you're not going to be able to sit behind the scope for very long. So if you're changing this up and let's say you're running more short range, then maybe perhaps that's the route you want to go. But this is where I sit. I brought this in just so you guys could see it. It's a lot more expensive to buy, but it does give you a plus 5% to accuracy and plus 2 to muzzle velocity. So if you have no budget, by all means, you can throw this thing on there and get a little bit extra onto it. And then couldn't be complete here without talking a little bit about the ammos. So these are your 6 ammo types that you can use with the M1A. Currently, the meta, you're seeing pretty much only these 3 because these are the ones that you have the best chance of defeating armors. All of these will defeat level 4 armor almost every time on the first shot. You get into a little bit more trouble with 5 and 6 with M80, but level 5 gets stopped by these, and level 6 will go through even level 6 armor. It's 70 damage. So your M80 is at 80 damage. You're at 79 damage for your M61. I'm sorry, 70 damage and 79 for your M62. One thing to note with several of these, with these 3 primary rounds running late wipe right now, is that your muzzle velocities and stats actually have a pretty big effect on some things. Your M61 has the highest muzzle velocity, so it's going to have the lowest drop, but it also adds 10 recoil to the gun. It has a 3% bump to accuracy. M80 has no stats. It's just 830 and it's basic. And your M62 only adds 5. So your M62 is actually a little bit less recoil than your M61. Now, early wipe, don't discount these 3 rounds like pretty much everybody does now, because they're pretty effective. All the way up to level 3 armor, these 2 will defeat. The FMJ actually hits harder. It does more damage than all 3 of these ammos. This is 88 damage. The problem is it's only 31 pen. But up to level 3 armor, this will defeat it. So this will one-tap somebody with level 3 armor or less, potentially. It also has a reduction in recoil, which doesn't show up here. Your TPZ-SP round is 60 damage and 36 pen. So it's not quite going to be one-hit and stuff, but it still penetrates really well. This actually will penetrate. It does pretty well even against level 4 armor. So 2 shots, 3 shots, you're going to do a pretty good job on somebody's chest. Now the Ultra Nozzler, this is interesting. The Ultra Nozzler stuff is basically like your RIP ammo. It's a fast expansion hollow point, if you will, high damage. You'll see this Ultra Nozzler stuff as hunting rounds for big game and stuff like that. It is, in the game world, it's 102 damage it will effectively just devastate anybody with no armor or level 1. If you hit them in the arms and legs, you're going to be doing massive amounts of damage, you know, blacking out limbs, and pretty quickly killing people. You know, 3, 4, maybe 5 shots in an unarmored area will kill somebody with this round. And then the last thing we're going to look at is magazines. Now, when it comes down to it, the 20 rounder and the 30 round will go in every single stock. Your X14, however, will not. It will go in the SOCOM stock. It will, however, not go in the Archangel stock. So you're stuck with your 30 round mag in the Archangel or the 20 round. And your biggest difference between these is primarily ergonomics, obviously, and your round count. So you're -2 with the little guy, you're -4 with the 30 rounder, and then you're -10 with the 50 round. I personally don't ever run the 50 round. I don't see it as necessary with this type of firearm. I'm never shooting that much to want to trade that much ergo for. But again, that's play style. There's a lot of guys who love having this thing and having 50 rounds in an M1A, and to be able to just shoot forever practically. My personal preference is, again, the ergo. And it's, again, the play style I play the M1A with is primarily just using the 20 round mag. Well, that's the video, guys. I hope it's helpful. I hope you get something out of this. Help you understand, keep you from making mistakes or buying parts that you can't put on the gun. I did that for you and made it to where you don't have to. If you found any value in this, please like the video. Subscribe if you can. If you think I did anything wrong, you have any questions, comment down below. I'll do my best to answer them with my knowledge base, or at the very least point you in the direction you can find the answer. I also stream on Twitch. If you guys want to come by and say hi or ask questions there, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we'll see you in Tarkov.